Hello and welcome to Merxin's first podcast. We're recording from Blooms and Beans on Old Street. I am Philippe Rogada, the Chief Business Officer of Merxin Ltd in England, and I'm very pleased to welcome to our first podcast Chris Hall, our chairman. Chris, thank you for making the time to be with us.
It's a pleasure.
Chris, we've known each other for a number of years in the industry. I think when I first started in industry in 1996, we might have met for the first time and eventually created Merxin Limited 10 years ago. And you've been with us for, how many years?
Nearly 5 now.
That's what I thought, 4 or 5 years. Let me ask you a direct question, because of course I will ask direct questions. Why did you accept my invitation to join the board of Merxin as our chairman?
So I think there's a few reasons for that. I mean, I've been in the industry for 35 years, and I left my last corporate job in 2019, and I set myself some golden rules about what I was going to do next. And one of them was it had to involve interesting people. It had to be on things that could really make a difference. And it had to be on things where I felt I could contribute something. And in the discussions with yourself and Graham on Merxin and where it was in its growth and development, I felt that my background and experience in dealing with big pharma companies and big contract negotiations and that type of thing could be helpful. I'm also fascinated by the development of organisations as they go from being sort of 10 people to 30 people. There's a real inflection point at that point, and I find it fascinating. So it met all of my criteria, and so yeah.
So you started, was it at?
So I started at what is now Abtar.
Oh right,
so
yes.
it was
Valois.
Yeah, it was Perfect Valois UK Limited in Milton Keynes. I was their first dedicated pharmaceutical salesperson in the UK. Mm-hmm. They were mainly selling inhalation and nasal devices. So the big customers were Phisons. You remember them?
Mm-hmm. Yes, of course.
GSK or Glaxo as it was then, and a whole array of companies, Rome Palenque Rora, that have all been merged together. But the UK was a real hotbed of inhalation product development and device development as well.
If there's one thing, and maybe three if you must, if there's one thing that you would say about the evolution of the industry that has resonance and relevance today, what would it be?
One thing is hard, but I think there are a few interlinking factors. I think one is that if you go back to the 90s, if you were in the pharmaceutical devices business and you had the correct regulatory and manufacturing environment, you had a huge competitive advantage over most of the other manufacturers, and it was that was really enough. And I think that evolution of regulatory manufacturing environment and capability, there weren't many people around who could do that in the 90s, and I think that's been very significant. But I think the other thing that's happened, there's been several waves that have gone through the business. You mentioned the CFC to HFA change, the arrival of dry powder inhalers, the proprietary dry powder inhaler technologies developed by Big Pharma for their new molecules. You know, this has driven enormous value into the pharma business on the back of devices. I think the value of devices is recognised far more highly now than it was in 1991. It was very much seen as a commodity that you had to produce in the right environment, but we could do this, and that all really changed with Discus.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So let me summarize the introduction of the DPIs and the proprietary dry powder inhalers that revolutionized drug delivery to the lungs. That's one thing you would highlight.
I would say that drove the recognition of value in devices.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yes.
Yes. So prior to that, I think it was very much more about plastic molding and design and assembly. But once the value of what the device could bring to the patients and the drug product was recognized on that sort of scale, and that, in my view, primarily came from proprietary big pharma dry powder
So
inhalers.
AstraZeneca, GSK in particular.
Exactly. I think in the 90s when we used to go to DDL, there was a running battle between GSK and Astra about the relative benefits of reservoir devices versus unit dose blisters. And so I think, but the value they were getting from those devices in the marketplace and the extension of the patent life of their products really set the tone to say, if you have the right devices and you can exploit them in the right way, it's a very valuable asset.
So obviously from Merxin's point of view, we are very interested in creating inhalation products, and we base our efforts on a device to which we associate a molecule. How do you see those new molecules? Where do you see them coming from? And what's your view? Yes, where is the wind coming from?
Where's the wind coming from? So I think there's been quite a significant change over the last 5 or 10 years, well, probably 5 years, certainly post-COVID. Big Pharma are now investing in acquiring assets later in the development cycle than they historically have. They've taken quite a lot of capability out of their infrastructure, their device teams. And a lot more of these things are coming from small biotech type companies or biopharma companies. And I think that's driven a lot of different activities within the device market. I think now, it's important that you can support a customer who wants to put their product into a device in a much stronger way than perhaps was necessary when you were supporting GSK in the 90s, because they had busloads of device engineers and all of those internal capabilities. So I think that's one big change. It's happening at in many much smaller companies now. I also think that people are looking at inhalation and nasal. Actually, it's quite advanced in nasal as well, in terms of repurposing existing drugs into the inhaled delivery form or the nasal delivery form. And so for companies like Merxin, with a series of platform technologies, the ability to be able to take those technologies into new therapy areas beyond asthma and COPD, I think is a big opportunity for the next 10 years.
Let's go back to the question about Merxin.
Yes.
So you accepted. What motivates you to come and carry on 5 years on, to still be with us?
I think we've only just started. I think if you look at the products that we're expecting to launch in the US next year, if you look at the progress that we're making in creating a real drive for new products in SMI. I mean, SMI.London is the place to be for SMI development, and that's really opening up an opportunity for a novel form of delivery beyond asthma and COPD. And I think there's a lot of excitement about that around the industry, and it's great to be part of it. And on the dry powder inhaler side, we talked briefly about the propellant change again, but this time, unlike last time, not everybody is going to reformulate every MDI that they have. Many farmers already have the same drug product in a dry powder inhaler version approved on the market. So one of the things that I would expect to happen here is that as the transition away from the existing propellants happens to these new propellants, is that the dry powder inhaler volume and share of the overall market is going to increase because those products are available, and the opportunity for generic dry powder inhaler platforms is going to grow on the back of that.
Of course, everybody knows I've got to be under my bonnet for soft mist inhalers, aqueous formulation, all that. We've got a little Lego model of IMRX-004 device here. For me, as a chemist, formulation scientist, colloid science, surface science, the possibility to formulate in a liquid environment with all the options, the flexibilities.
I think that's part of that's likely to be part of the spin-off from the propellant change as well,
Yes.
in that people are going to look for alternative ways
To
of
the
delivering,
propellant, exactly.
delivering these things that are going to be much easier, a much more efficient delivery system overall. I think there's a bit of work to be done about how we actually get the right doses into these things and what products work for that and what don't. You know, you're going to find a situation where there's a subset that are absolutely ideal for SMI, and there's a subset that are more appropriate for powders, and you know, it'll be a question of where they fit. Some of them will need bigger doses and go nebulizers in hospitals. You know, it's kind of, we're at the point where identifying that subset of molecules and therapies that fit best for SMI is the challenge, and finding those projects.
Let's talk about the next few months until June 2026. So, of course, I know you're looking forward to SMI.London at 2026. Yes. What are the events you're looking forward to on these run-ups to the months? Where will you be turning up? Where can we meet you?
Okay, so I will be at CPHI in a couple of weeks' time.
In November. That's in where? In Frankfurt?
It's in Frankfurt this time, yes. Prefer Milan, but
yes.
Frankfurt
we'll have to do
this time around. Always go to DDL every year. Have done since Church House back in the 90s.
Got it, yes, there was that too.
I will be at PharmaPack in
February, Paris.
Beginning of end of January, beginning of February in Paris, and then possibly RDD.
Arizona, sometimes early May, maybe, or late April.
But we'll see. It's my 60th birthday at the beginning of May, so if it clashes with that, I may.
Well, then don't forget to say happy birthday to Chris.
I may be grounded.
Yes, and for us, of course, you might be joining to some of these events with us. So we will be at PODD in Boston in 10 days' time. Right. Then we'll go to Bio Europe in Vienna early November. DDL is, of course, an important event because we'll be celebrating our birthday, 10th anniversary. Then probably RDD US, probably DCAT, as we did last year, which is great fun. Bio International, which is in San Diego in June, which will be just after we've had SMI.London, and a few more events. Right. Yes, so maybe you'll be there, maybe you'll not.
A busy schedule.
A busy schedule, and looking forward to seeing those new molecules again and the contacts we currently have. Tremendous. Well, thank you so much. Thank you for making the time to turn up in London.
It's a pleasure.
And very much looking forward to the next year with you. And we will do another podcast. We'll tell you who they are when they come. We have a nice lineup of people you will recognize and who have much to say about our industry, and I very much look forward to interviewing them. So stay tuned, follow us on LinkedIn, follow us on our website. We also, as you know, have a YouTube channel where these videos will appear as well. So thank you very much, and talk to you very soon.